Yesterday I finally got Shenhe after having to wait almost 2 years for her here on my free-to-play alt account, and now we're gonna find out if it was actually worth it. Is Shenhe still good in 2025? And yeah, the main character I'm gonna test her with is Ayaka. I've been calling myself an Ayaka main on this account so many times, but I didn't actually have her best support until now, so yeah, I'm really excited to see how much Shenhe actually does for Ayaka. But before we jump into the action, let me first show you my Shenhe's build. As you can see, she has almost 3000 attack. I was actually hoping for more than 3000, but I wasn't quite able to reach that. But 2900 is still fine. And then she also has a bit of crit rate and crit damage. I'm using the Favonius Lance on her, so having some crit rate is actually not bad. And then she also has a bunch of energy recharge, since you want to burst with her every rotation if possible. Now, like I already said, the weapon is the Favonius Lance. I have it at R4 here. It's basically her best 4-star weapon because it has energy recharge and it also has a decently high base attack for a 4-star weapon. For the artifacts, I decided to go with 4-piece Noblesse. Now, there is an argument to be made for a 2-piece combination of attack buffing sets being actually better because you get more damage out of Shenhe's quills, especially if you have like a signature weapon which has an insanely high base attack. I think the highest in the game actually. Then attack buffing sets are probably better, but I feel like with a 4-star weapon like Favonius Lance, we don't get too much out of the attack percentage. A set like Noblesse might be better for this general attack buff for the entire team, but I think it's about equal. So you can go either Noblesse or 2-piece combination of attack buffing sets, depending on what your substats look like. And yeah, in terms of substats, mine actually rolled decently well, though not perfectly. Like here, for example, I would have preferred, of course, to get more attack rolls instead of a defense roll here. That maybe would have pushed me over 3000 attack. But oh well, at least you got some energy recharge and crit rate. The feather actually rolled into attack a few times, which is nice. And then of course for the sands, the goblet, and the circlet, we have all attack main stats here. That's how we build Shenhe, just stack as much attack on her as possible. And yeah, makes it actually pretty easy to build. Constellation is 0, and the talents are at 6, 9, and 9. So that's my Shenhe, and the team I'm actually gonna use her in is, well, this, but also with Kazuha. The reason why I didn't put him in the team right away is because he has the Xyphos Moonlight, which boosts the energy recharge of the entire team, and I just want to show my Shenhe's stats without that boost first. But now that Kazuha is in the team, we should actually have a bit more energy recharge. Yeah, now it's at 193 instead of the 181 we had before. But yeah, basically, this team is just here to hyper buff Ayaka, with Xilonen and Kazuha, who are obviously two of the best supports in the game, and then Shenhe being the best cryo support, should make it so that my Ayaka does huge amounts of damage. Especially since all three of these support characters have different support artifacts. It's basically the holy trinity of support sets. Cinder City on Xilonen, Viridescent Venera on Kazuha, and Noblesse Oblige on Shenhe. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting to see how good this team actually is. Now, usually for these showcases I go to Masanori and Inazuma, but I think he's a bit too fail for this, so I'm instead gonna go to Kongamato here in Natlan. This guy should be able to tank a few Ayaka bursts. He has like over 1.5 million HP at world level 9, if I remember correctly. But yeah, before I actually use the full team to buff Ayaka, I first want to get a baseline, so I'm just gonna use Ayaka by herself without any buffs, except for the buff from her dash. Because when she like emerges from the ground at the end of her dash and hits an enemy with that, she applies cryo and also gets like 18% cryo damage bonus. So that's the only buff I'm gonna use. Coming from Ayaka herself, no external buffs. Let's see how much she does. So we just do this, apply the cryo, and then we have 9.4k damage per hit. And the last hit 14k. Not bad. Actually not bad. It might not seem like a lot, 9k, but you gotta keep in mind that her burst hits 20 times, so it's actually over 180k damage. With no external buffs, that's actually really not bad. But yeah, now it's time to see what she actually does when she has buffs. But first, of course, I have to get her burst back. Okay, I got the burst now, so let's use Shenhe's skill, Shenhe burst, Ayaka dash, Ayaka burst. Let's see how much this does. 20k. Okay, now it's down to 13k because Shenhe's quills are gone. Shenhe applies like 5 quills with her skill. So for 5 hits, Ayaka's burst did 20k and then it went down to 13k. But even 13k is still a decent improvement over the 9k we had before. And 20k, that's actually more than twice what we had before. Which is actually more than I was expecting. Like, I knew that Shenhe was gonna buff her a lot, but I did not expect 20k per hit. That's actually really good. And even if it's just for 5 hits, that's 100k. And then for the remaining 15 hits, we have like 13k. So some quick math. It's like almost 200k. Plus the 100k from the 5 quill hits. Yeah, 300k damage, I think. Around 300k. Compared to the 180k we got before. That's a very good improvement. And we haven't even used Xilonen and Kazuha yet. So yeah, needless to say, Shenhe is an amazing support for a Cry DPS like Ayaka. I mean, there was never a doubt about that, but I'm still kinda amazed at how much she increases my Ayaka's burst damage. And also, since Shenhe's skill, if we tap it, has a pretty short cooldown, we might actually be able to apply the quills 2 times for even more damage, depending on how we do the rotation. But before we do any more complicated rotations, let's just do what we just did, but with the full team. So, involving Xilonen and Kazuha now. Okay, so I'm just gonna burst, skill, use Kazuha. Probably should have used Xilonen first, because her buff lasts longer than Kazuha's, but whatever. Then we dash and 35k, and then 22k, 21. Okay, so now even without the quills, we still have over 20k damage, and with the quills, it was like 35k. That's really good. So if you do some quick math again, 35k times 5 is already 175k. So just with the first 5 hits, we already are doing as much... Oh. What I was about to say is that even with just the first 5 hits of her burster, we already have as much damage as we did from her entire burst unbuffed. And then we get still like 20k per hit after the quills are used up. So 15 times 20k is 300k, plus the 175 we had before. Makes for almost 500,000 damage. Really not bad. Now let's see if we can actually apply Shenhe's quills more than one time. How do I do this? I think I start with Shenhe, then use Xilonen and Kazuha, then use Ayaka's burst, and then after the quills are used up, I use Shenhe's skill again. It should be off cooldown then. And as far as I know, the quills apply dynamically, so even though Ayaka's burst snapshots, the quills should still apply after we use the burst. Okay, let's do this. Ah, no, he's rolling away, and Kazuha's burst got infused with Pyro. Okay, well, that was a fail. I hate it when he rolls away. Okay, here we go again. So, we do this. 38k this time. Damn it. And he rolls again. Well, it was good because we got even more damage than before, but it was bad because I couldn't reapply the quills like I wanted to, because he just rolled away and hit Shenhe while doing that. I think the 38k was maybe because of Ayaka's dash. I think I might have missed that the first time, but the second time I didn't, so that's where we got a little bit more damage from. But yeah, let's try this again. And if we start the rotation while he is still just getting up from his sleep, then he's gonna be nice and stationary for a while. So yeah, let's do this. Okay, here we go. Yeah, got 38k again. Now 24. And we reapply and 37. Yeah, okay, we can actually reapply the quills mid-burst. It went up to 37 again. Awesome. Okay, so if we do the rotation correctly, we can actually get more than 5 hits with Shenhe's quills, which means that we should definitely be like over 500,000. If we have like 10 hits that do 38k damage, that alone is already 380k. And then the remaining 10 hits do 20k. That's 200k, so yeah. 580k, almost 600k. Very good. It's just sad that with bursts like Ayaka's, you don't really get one huge number. It's just a lot of small numbers, so it doesn't look that impressive, but it still is impressive. Also, just so you're aware, my Ayaka is actually C0 and has a craftable 4-star weapon. And Amenoma Kaguchi is of course really good on her, but if she had a signature, her damage would be even higher. Like, I think with Mist Splitter, she could probably reach at least like 700k, maybe even up to 1,000,000 damage for her burst in this team. And also, another thing before anyone asks why I'm not using any Hydro characters, why I'm not going for Freeze, it's just that I don't really like Freeze, because it doesn't work against a lot of enemies nowadays. I mean, the Abyss is full of bosses that are just immune to Freeze, so I think there's not really a point to use a Hydro character instead of a great support like Xilonen or Kazuha. I feel like Mono Cryo just has more value nowadays. than freeze. It's of course different if you have a Hydro character who's also a good support, like Farina for example, but I don't have Farina on this account, only on my main account, but this here is my free-to-play alt account. But if I had Farina, then I would probably go for freeze. Would probably replace Kazuha, because we need a healer to make Farina work. So yeah, Xilonen, Ayaka, Farina, Shenhe, that could be a really good team. Kinda wanna try it, but like I said, I don't have Farina on this account. But yeah, anyway, this video is not about Ayaka, it's about Shenhe, and as we could see, Shenhe actually buffs Ayaka a lot. Like, her quills brought the burst damage up so much, like, more than doubled it. And thanks to the decently low cooldown on her skill, you can actually apply the quills 2 times for 1 Ayaka burst, which makes it even better. Like, yeah, it's actually kinda insane how good Shenhe is for Ayaka. So, to answer the question that I asked in the beginning, is Shenhe still good? Is she still viable in 2025? I would say yes. If you have some cryo DPSs that you really like and you want them to reach their full potential, then Shenhe is definitely a good character to roll for. She's very niche, of course, since she is mainly a support for cryo, but in her niche, she's actually kinda insane. And definitely still viable, even after all these years. And again, much like with Ayaka, keep in mind that this is pretty much a free-to-play Shenhe with no constellations and a 4-star weapon. So with a signature or constellations, Shenhe is gonna be even more insane than what you saw in this video. I personally am really happy that I finally got her after all this time. Had to wait way too long for this, but now I can finally truly be an Ayaka main again. And yeah, this pretty much concludes my showcase. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more Genshin Impact and other gacha content. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, have a nice day.